Think what a great thing it is to be a part of something that is the team. The team, the team, the team.
Hi, let's use our figures here to talk about basic outfield responsibilities. The first thing we want to be aware of as an outfielder when you take the field is we want to try to have close to equal spacing between each outfielder. And so we'll use the foul lines as the boundaries of our spacing. We have 4 outfielders, so there will be 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces from foul line to foul line. And we want the spaces to be of about equal size. We wouldn't want a little space between an outfielder and the foul line, and then a big space between these 2 outfielders. We want them we want the 5 spaces to be roughly the same size, as close as we can get them. So let's start with the responsibilities of a right fielder. And actually, all outfielders it's going to be the same principle. My cat wants to attack some of the figures here. It's the same. And luckily, we're never going to have a giant cat invade our field. So, it's ball-based backup principles. Obviously, outfielders won't have to cover a base often, but it's something they want to be aware of. You never know what might happen on a particular play. An outfielder, while backing up a base, might end up needing to cover it. So it is something we want to keep in mind. But the first thing for every fielder is, do I have the best chance to field the ball on my team on this particular play? If you do, you call out ball loudly and clearly, and you go after the ball with your best effort. And that outfielders are no different. And then another very common responsibility of outfielders is to back up, and that is probably the most complex one to remember. So let's focus heavily on how a right fielder would back up. Now, a ball that's hit off the bat to the first baseman is something the right fielder is going to back up. They're going to get in position if they see the ball being hit toward the first baseman to field that ball if the first baseman misses it. They'll go from back up to ball. A ball hit to any other fielder other than one that the right fielder thinks they can field. Any other fielder other than the first baseman or to themselves, or possibly between themselves and the right center fielder. The right fielder is going to sprint into position and back up first base. They're going to back up throws made to first base, and they want to position themselves not too close to the base, because then it would be too easy for both fielders to miss it, but far enough so that if it's an inaccurate throw or the first baseman has difficulty catching it, that they will be in a good position to stop that ball and hopefully keep this runner at first base instead of advancing to second. Now let's talk about the right center fielder. Obviously, they want to field the ball if they have a good opportunity. And if a batted ball is hit toward the second baseman, they're going to back up the second baseman in case it gets by them. And then another primary responsibility is they are going to back up throws to second base that come from this side of the field. So for instance, if a shortstop were going to throw to the second baseman, it's very important that the right center fielder back up that throw. Because if it's missed, it's going to roll in the outfield, and if it gets by the backup person, those runners are going to be able to run for a very long time. So the goal is right center fielder backing up throws to second is to stop that throw, hopefully stop the runner at second base. Now let's talk about left center field. And again, primary responsibility is if the ball is hit out to her area, the outfield, she wants to call for it and try to field it. Or if the ball is hit toward the shortstop, she wants to make sure she's got the shortstop backed up in case they aren't able to field it. And then finally, she wants to back up throws to second base that come from this side of the field. So anytime a ball is hit to this side of the field, the right center fielder will want to get in position to back up the throw to second base. And it's the same, I don't know if I mentioned that, it's the same for the right center fielder. For the right center fielder, any throw hit to this side, they're going to back up a throw to second base. Any ball hit to this side, the left center fielder will back up the throw to second base, so that if it gets by the shortstop receiving the throw, hopefully we can hold that runner at second. Left field. Left field is pretty much a mirror image of right field as far as responsibilities. Call and field for the ball if it's hit to you. Back up balls hit toward the third baseman in case they get by the third baseman. And if the ball is hit to anyone other than the third baseman or toward you, you're going to immediately sprint into foul territory to back up a throw that might come to third base. So if the third baseman is not able to catch the throw, we can hopefully prevent this runner from scoring. So the backup responsibilities of an outfielder are incredibly important. As you can see, there are no fielders back here. Balls that get past the outfield tend to be doubles, triples, and home runs. And we definitely want to minimize that. If we make our opponents hit a lot of singles, it'll definitely be much more challenging for them to score a lot of runs. Let's talk about outfield responsibilities during base stealing coverages. So this particular defense, with a runner on first and the other base is empty, is called our 100 defense. Think of it this way: 1, 0, 0. That's why we call it the 100 defense. The 100 defense is the only time we are ever going to try to throw out a base stealer at second. It's the only time when we're in 100. 1, 0, 0. So, what happens when this occurs? Well, first of all, if a base runner attempts to steal, once we see that they have gone beyond just leading off and stopping, and they're sprinting toward the next base, stealing, it is the outfielder's responsibility, all of them, to shout "steal." The reason for this is because the outfielders have the base runner in front of them. The infielders, playing slightly in front of the baseline, have the base runner behind them. We don't want to have to rely on infielders to have to turn their heads away from the plate to know whether or not a runner is stealing. So the outfielders have to very loudly yell "steal" whenever they see a base runner stealing. So that's the first responsibility in a steal situation of every outfielder. So let's talk about the 100 defense, how we try to stop the steal. So in that situation, the shortstop is going to have to come over and cover second base so the catcher has someone to throw to. The pitcher will duck so that throw can get through. But as we can see, the shortstop covering second leaves a rather large hole here. The left center fielder will actually sprint forward and take over for the shortstop. And the other outfielders will all move toward center field so we can get that equal spacing, because now there will only be 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And we always want to try to keep that spacing as equal as we possibly can. So I'll review. 100 defense. One runner, 0, 0. Our 100 defense. So this runner takes off stealing. These 4 outfielders steal. That tells the shortstop to get over and cover second base. The pitcher will duck once the catcher receives the ball, so the catcher has a clear path to throw. The left center fielder will sprint forward to try to cover the hole where the shortstop was, just in case there's a ground ball that comes that way. And the other outfielders will move more toward the center, so the 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces are roughly equal size. That's our 100 defense. And obviously the outfielder, the right center fielder, will back up the throw to second base. One of the nice things about the steal rule is a catcher who overthrows an infielder trying to throw out a stealer, that automatically becomes a dead ball situation. Play stops. Runners are not allowed to advance. That's about the only time when runners are not allowed to advance in an overthrow in our league. Let's talk about our final two steal defenses. And even though they have different names, they are the same. First one we'll call 12. Think of it this way: 1, 2. 1 and 2. Runners at first and second. We'll call that defense 12. In the 12 defense, the catcher is never going to throw down the second base to get a base stealer, because the throw to third is so much closer. It's almost 25 feet closer down to third than it is down to second for a catcher to throw. So in a 12 defense, when the runners steal, obviously for the runner at first to have any chance to steal, the runner at second has to steal. So if the runner at second tries to steal, no matter what the runner at first does, whether they try to steal or not, we're not throwing down to second base. We will throw to third. The left fielder will sprint into position to back up the throw, and the other outfielders will shift over a little bit to try to even out those 4 spaces. So that is in a 12 defense. And of course the outfielders will call out steal, so the third baseman knows to cover. So the other defense is our 13 defense. Think of it as unlucky 13. It's very unlucky to throw to second. 13 is a really dangerous situation for a defense to be in. And we'll get into more detail on that in other videos. But 13, we're not going to throw down to second. Because even if this runner is the only runner to steal, if we throw down to second, the time it takes for this throw to get down here is going to allow this runner to steal home. And we do not want to give away runs like that. We don't want to let our opponents simply steal runs. We're okay with them stealing second. I mean, we'll try to throw them out in the 100 defense. But in the 12 and 13 defense, they may steal second. And we'll just take our chances trying to get outs at other places or prevent the runner on third from scoring. So in a 13 defense, the catcher's not going to throw the ball anywhere except right back to the pitcher. And the outfielders can keep their spacing, and they don't even have to yell steal. If they do yell steal by mistake, it's not the end of the world, because I don't want them to forget to yell steal when they should. The responsibility is just going to be on the catcher to know that in a 13 defense, the ball is just going right back to the pitcher, no matter what the runner at first base does.